Kids in Oklahoma are about to become not only massively uninformed, but intentionally propagandized. That's right. According to Judd Legum of Popular Info, who reported this last week, the state of Oklahoma will now be requiring that students be taught about President Donald Trump's debunked claims about the 2020 election. Not as a lesson on how to identify conspiracy theories and misinformation. Oh, no. No, this will be an official component of the new social studies curriculum created by none other than Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters. That's right. The new curriculum includes a section that requires students to analyze contemporary turning points of 21st century American society. That requirement includes the following: identifying discrepancies in the 2020 elections results by looking at graphs and other information, including the sudden halting of ballot counting in select cities and key battleground states, the security risks of mail-in balloting, sudden batch dumps, that's right,
dumps,
an unforeseen record of number of voters, and the unprecedented contradiction of bellwether county trends. Wow. Walters claims the purpose of this section is to teach students to think for themselves, really, and not be spoon-fed left-wing propaganda. That's right. In order to fight the left's the propaganda, otherwise known as facts, we're going to give you our own propaganda. Yeah. And yes, it is propaganda. Remember, Fox News had made a lot of this same disinformation leading up to the election. They were forced to pay $787 million to Dominion Voting Systems for those lies. I'm pretty sure, though, that is not going to be included in that lesson. All right. Well, once again, though, this really illustrates how it's projection with these people accuse the other side of doing what you want to do. Okay. So, and that's it. According to Walters, there are legitimate concerns about the integrity of the 2020 election that were raised by millions of Americans in 2020. And they were all wrong. They just were. I mean, it's a fallacy to say that, well, look how many people believe in this. I mean, it must be true. No, that is a fallacy. Look, there were no discrepancies in the 2020 election results that come even close to validating any of the claims that Donald Trump and his cronies made in the, about the results. There were no sudden halting of ballot counting in key states. In fact, I do remember one person attempting to, stop the count in certain places. I wonder who that was. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm guessing that will also not be in Oklahoma's lesson plan. I mean, as far as some of the counting taking, time in states, obviously, yes, it takes time to count all the ballots. And look, in some of these states, election officials were legally prohibited from counting early ballots in advance. Okay? Mail-in balloting, their claim on that is wrong. Obviously, it's safe and secure. There have been states that have used it for decades with no problem. As for the dumps,
big massive dumps,
they happen in every election. That's right. They also impact both parties and are not by themselves a sign of fraud. Now, talking about the record turnout in 2020, what was that due to? The pandemic and other factors. Yeah. People turned out because they were upset with what Donald Trump did, crashing the economy and COVID, telling people to inject bleach and stick light bulbs up their bums. Turns out, yeah, people were like, oh man, this guy's an idiot. I don't understand what happened from then to the next 4 years. Yes, persistent and stubborn greedflation, I get that. But, people were apparently like, no, let's give this idiot who told me to inject bleach another 4 years. Oh, dear God. But, oh, and finally, the traditional bellwether counties are actually now more conservative than the nation as a whole, so there is nothing wrong there. Okay? Look, the fact is, Donald Trump lost in 2020, and he has made it all of our problem. Okay? The fragile ego of one man has had so many detrimental effects already, and now it's going to have an impact on the youth of Oklahoma. Okay? They're going to be even more disadvantaged now because they're living in a completely different reality. When they get to college, if they get to college, oh boy, it's going to be a lot to deprogram these people. Okay? And this, by the way, all comes at a cost of $33 million to the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. Now, could they have actually stopped this from happening? Yes, they could have, but they didn't. The chairman of the Oklahoma Senate Education Committee, Adam Pugh, did attempt by filing a resolution that would have sent the curriculum back to the Oklahoma State Board of Education for further review. Because it turns out that the members of this Board of Education were asking for review. They didn't have enough time to actually look at the 400 pages of changes that Walters was trying to make. Now, that resolution, unfortunately, did not receive a vote. Why? Because of threats from Moms for Liberty. That group sent letters to the Republicans in the legislature. In it, they praised the new curriculum as, quote-unquote, truth-filled, anti-woke, and unapologetically conservative. Well, at least one of those things is kind of true. This is pure conservative delusion. Okay? That's it. But the important thing is they delivered a warning saying, in the last few election cycles, grassroots conservative organizations have flipped seats across Oklahoma by holding weak Republicans accountable. Uh-oh. If you choose to side with the liberal media, and facts, and make backroom deals with Democrats to block conservative reform, i.e. propaganda, you will be next. Well, there it is. Primary threats. You better support our lies, or we're going to come after your job. And they will, by the way. They have and they will. But that's not the only reason, of course. But it did help. Now, Walters also apparently had used some deceptive practices to jam this through. In fact, Legum reports that Walters did not send the new standards with its addition to the members of the board until 4 p.m. the day before the board's 9:30 a.m. meeting, which effectively gave members not enough time to read these new standards, which again, 400 pages. Okay. Some of the members later on said that they didn't even realize the new standards were different from the earlier version that they had previously reviewed. So last minute additions shoving this in. Walters not only made sure that the board couldn't read the new standards ahead of time, he also claimed that he had massive public comment support, okay, but didn't show any evidence of that because, of course, right? He also apparently had included right-wing activists on the committee that reviewed the social studies standards. His committee included Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, Dennis Prager, co-founder of PragerU, and right-wing media personalities Steve Deese and David Barton. Only 3 out of the 10 people involved in this committee even lived in Oklahoma. So this is all coming from outside massively right-wing organizations with the sole purpose of, or goal of, propagandizing your kids with right-wing propaganda, right-wing lies. That's it. This is what's going on. And the reason that it's important to talk about is, look, I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on here in Oklahoma, and I think Republicans across the country want to do the same thing in other states. That's it. Because they realize that their only chance of staying in power and staying relevant is to propagandize the youth. It requires it. They do not have pro-young people policies. All their policies mainly benefit rich people and corporations, not young people. They actually hurt young people. So they have to lie. So they have to get you young. In order to raise good conservative voters, they got to get them young. They got to get them young when they're in school, when they're, I wouldn't say ignorant, but when they're naive and believe the things that people teach them. And so that's exactly what they're doing in Oklahoma, teaching kids the opposite of facts, lies, in order to turn them into good little conspiracy theory believing conservative voters. It is just absolutely abhorrent and disgusting that this is happening. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.